Hello students, welcome to Manifested e-learning platform. My name is Wilson Andove. I'm your literature teacher. We have been looking at narratives, and the previous lesson we looked at the features of narratives. And I said that from this lesson we're going to look at sample narratives. So for today we're going to look at two narratives. We're going to look at one, myth, and two, etiology or explanatory. And before we look at a sample narrative, I want to remind you what a myth is. A myth is a story that explains the origin of natural phenomenon. So a myth is a story or narrative that explains the origin of natural happenings which we call phenomena, in brackets phenomena, okay? I also said that a myth has an element of supernatural being involvement, of the involvement of the supernatural beings. So we are saying, these students, that in a myth we shall have supernatural beings being involved. And in this case, God with a capital G, or God with a small g, or even angels. So that is a myth. Then you have an etiology. Again, an etiology is also called explanatory. Explains why things happen the way they do. An etiology is close to a myth because it also explains the origin of natural phenomenon or phenomena. But the difference is, in an etiology we don't have supernatural beings. So supernatural beings and no involvement of supernatural beings. Again, unlike a myth, an etiology is seen as being secular. It talks about those issues that are not too serious in life. Unlike a myth that is actually is seen as being divine, that's seen as being holy. It talks about serious things like life and death, the origin of a people. So that's a myth. Unlike an etiology that does not talk about such. So we're going to look at two examples. The first example is that of a myth, and the second example is that of an etiology. And we're going to go through it together. So the first example, the origin of death. That is a myth because it's talking about origin of natural phenomena, which is what? Which is death. And that's a myth. So the story says, it's God who created man. And since God had pity and love for man, he said, I do not wish you to die altogether. I wish that men, having died, should rise again. And so he created men and placed them in another region. But he stayed at home. And then God saw chameleon and the weaver bird. After he had spent 3 days with chameleon and the weaver bird, he recognized that weaver bird was a great maker of words, compounded of lies and truth. Words of lies exceeded the truth ones. Then he watched chameleon and recognized that he had great intelligence. He did not lie. His words were true. So he spoke to chameleon. Chameleon, yes, my maker of the universe. I'm sure that's what the chameleon said. Go into the region where I've placed the men are created and tell them that when they have died, even if they're all together dead, still they shall rise again. That each man shall rise again after he dies. Chameleon said, yes, I'll go there. But he went slowly. For we know that is his character anyway. He walks slowly, slowly, step by step. In fact, if you see a chameleon, if you look at his movements, it's one step after the other. So he walks very slowly. Weaver bird stayed behind with God. Chameleon traveled on for a long time because he walked slowly anyway. And when he arrived at his destination, he said, I was told. I was told. I was told. But he never said what he was told. Weaver bird said to God, I wish to step out for a moment. And God said to him, go. But weaver bird, since he's a bird, flew swiftly and arrived at the place where chameleon was speaking to the people and saying, I was told, I was told, I was told. Everyone was gathered there to listen. When weaver bird arrived, he said, we were told that men, when they are dead, shall perish like the roots of aloe. Then the chameleon exclaimed, but we are told, we are told, we were told that when men are dead, they shall rise again. And now, listeners, all the people left and returned to their homes. This way, this was the way it happened. And so, men became old and die. They do not rise again. That marks the end of the story. So students, in that story, you can see we are trying to explain the origin of what? Of death. Death is a natural occurrence. We have been told God made man, and God loved man so much. He didn't want man to die. And so he sent a messenger, in this case, the chameleon, to go and tell man that when he becomes old and dies, he shall rise again. He shall resurrect. He will not die forever. He shall not perish forever. So chameleon came to tell man, to deliver the information to man. But chameleon, by his nature, is a slow animal. So he found people gathered somewhere waiting for information from God. He said, I was told, I was told, I was told. But he never said what he was told. Now remember, I told you features of narratives. When he says, I was told, we call that what? Suspense. It's meant to create anticipation in that narrative. Because he's saying, I was told. You can imagine people are just there waiting, eagerly to hear the news. But he's not delivering the news. He's just saying, I was told, I was told. So we call that suspense. So at that moment, the weaver bird, and we are told, he likes telling lies. The weaver bird was sent, actually told us God to let him go, to let him step out. In fact, we were not given permission. He just stepped out. Came and found the chameleon still saying, I was told, I was told. And then delivered the what? The wrong information, the lies. That when man dies, he shall not rise again. At that moment, chameleon was jolted into action. He told the weaver, but you are lying. You are told that when man dies, he shall rise again. But it was too little, too late. And so from that moment, when man dies, he does not rise again. So that is a myth, because it explains the origin of death, and it has supernatural involvement. The second example that you are going to look at, students, is an etiology. And we are going to look at one example together. Why cats like to stay by the fireplace? We all know cats, don't we? Yes, cats like staying by the fireplace. They like a warm place. They like hiding near the fireplace. Why so? Why so? There's a story behind that. And in the story, listen keenly. Why cats like to stay by the fireplace? This from the Bukus community. The cat was formerly a wild animal and lived in the forest, just like other animals, leopard, lions. The cat was a wild animal. The forest was too dangerous for the cat. Why do you think it was too dangerous for the cat? Because the cat is what? Small in size. The cat cannot defend itself from animals like the elephant, the lion. And so it sought what? Protection from either other animals or maybe from other people. And so the story says the forest was too dangerous for the cat. So seeking protection, it attached itself to an elephant. Why? Because he thought, because the elephant is big in size, that it was the most powerful animal. And so it would protect the cat, protect him. A lion came along and killed the elephant. The cat then thought that the lion was, after all, the most powerful animal. Yeah, you can understand. It has killed the elephant. For its defense again, it had to make friends with the lion. Then the hunter came along with his bow and arrows and friends with the lion. What happened? He killed the lion. You can imagine. The most powerful animal. The hunter killed the lion, which had attempted to attack him. On his way home, the hunter was followed by the cat. Why? Because it wants what? Protection. It thought that the hunt is more powerful is stronger than the lion, because he killed the lion. And so the cat followed the hunter to his home. While at the hunter's home, the cat remained hiding until an opportunity showed up, the cat's desire for the hunter's friendship. One evening, a rat, which was discovered eating the hunter's meat, was chased past where the cat was hiding. The cat, and we know it, having a natural hatred for rats, joined the chase and killed it. Killed the rat instantly. The hunter had no choice but persuade the cat to remain in his house and kill rats. which are a threat to his food. In fact, the hunter was very happy that these rats which have been eating his food would no longer be there. This is not the end of the story. One cold evening, the hunter went to a fireplace where his wife was the manager. The wife issued orders, and the hunter had to do what? To obey. After all, she's the manager. The cat, watching this relationship, was quick to notice that the hunter's wife was stronger than the hunter himself. How? She ordered him around, and the hunter obeyed her. So the cat decided to stay around the fireplace under the protection of the hunter's wife. And up to today, cats like to stay by the fireplace. Okay? Why? Because they are still seeking what? Protection from the hunter's wife. Now, students, in that story, that's an etiology. It's explaining why the cat likes staying by the fireplace. And you can see it's actually seeking protection. In this narrative, we don't have supernatural involvement. It explains why things happen. Actually, it's explaining a happening or a phenomenon that we all know. So we call such a story as etiology or explanatory. So students, for today we have seen two examples. The first example is that of a myth, explaining the origin of death, and the second example that was an etiology, explaining why the cat likes to stay by the fireplace. In the next class, we shall look at more examples of other types of narratives. So until next time, I'm your teacher, Wilson Andove. Thank you and have a blessed time.